For over a millennium, Egypt stood in awe of the memory of Yahmesu Nefertari, a woman elevated to the status of a deity. Her life marked the beginning of the nation's renaissance, and her legacy continued to be celebrated and venerated for generations to come. Please note, we are not talking about the more popular Queen Nefertari, known by most, in more contemporary circles. Now, let's continue the story of Yahmesu Nefertari, our venerated ancestor. In 1730 BC, Egypt, deeply ingrained with African pacifist ideology and unaccustomed to significant conflicts for a prolonged period, faced an attack from the Hyksos from Asia. Due to its limited militarization, Egypt was taken by surprise. The foreigners effortlessly captured the north of the country, demonstrating complete barbarity by burning temples and enslaving the African inhabitants. The native black rulers were forced to retreat to the south, leaving Lower and Middle Egypt under the control of the likely white nomadic invaders from Asia. For a span of 150 years, the southern kings were unsuccessful in reclaiming the northern territories. Within this backdrop, King Tar II rose to the Egyptian throne. He solidified his reign by marrying his sister Akapu, aligning with the African matriarchal tradition. This bleak era, characterized by the northern occupation, was symbolically anticipated to be expelled by the moon, restoring light and order to Egypt. Hence, the 6 children born to the royal couple were named Yahmesu, meaning born of the moon. The eldest daughter, destined to uphold the legitimacy of power following her mother, garnered attention from her birth. The daughter of Akapu and Tar possessed a coal-black complexion, akin to the creator and the deities, leading her to be regarded as a prophet. She symbolized the feminine aspect of God, promising the return of the much-yearned order. In honor of her auspicious birth and the hopes she represented, she was named Yahmesu Nefertari, Ames Nefertari, translating to born of the moon, goodness has arrived. For the doubters, please look at this. Nefertari embodied a darkness as profound as Amana or Amen, who we now call God, depicted here in his male form in the temple of Pharaoh Hatshepsut. As the heir to the throne, the eldest son Nebper Yahmesu was entrusted with the vital task of reclaiming the northern territories alongside his sister. His duty was to deploy his military might to re-establish Egypt's sovereignty. Nefertari, revered as an oracle and a divine messenger, was destined to reinstate the divine order throughout Egypt. The combined forces of these two luminaries were intended to unify the fragmented lands. Nefertari was bestowed with a profound religious education in the sacred city of Wazit, also known as Thebes, the preeminent city in ancient Africa. Esteemed priests imparted her education, and even as a young child, she led ceremonies dedicated to the gods. Upon reaching adulthood, Pharaoh Nebper Yahmesu, with the support of his mother Akapu, masterfully conducted a succession of wars, eliminating the Hyksos. As his brother navigated the turmoil of the battlefield, Nefertari, serving as the second prophet of God, invoked prayers within the Theban shrines, seeking spiritual intervention for Egypt's plight. This eagerly anticipated liberation, now realized, was attributed to the joint efforts of the two moons. To affirm his rule, Nebper married his sister. This union established the 18th dynasty, the most illustrious of all Egyptian dynasties, marking the nation's rejuvenation. Until then, the high priest of Amana, think of him as the Pope in Egypt, had always been male. Yahmesu Nefertari pioneered the establishment of a female equivalent to this position, adopting the title of Bride of God. Her status as the bearer of the royal lineage, her prophetic birth, and her significant spiritual role in the nation's liberation empowered her to make this historic change. Henceforward, both a man and a woman jointly steered the powerful vitalist, animist, religious institution. The queen assumed control of the elite priestesses and restructured the clergy. Successive queens of Egypt would also hold the role of Bride of God. Accompanying the title was a generous allotment of land, attire, jewelry, and precious metals, ensuring the sustained upkeep of the institution. Yahmesu Nefertari actively contributed to the nation's rebuilding and supported her husband in constructing temples and sanctuaries. Profoundly devout, she urged Egyptians to follow divine directives and frequently organized religious ceremonies. She was often referred to simply as Hemet Enger, the Bride of God. Following the death of Pharaoh Yahmesu, she adeptly governed Egypt and groomed her son Djoserkar-Amenhotep, also known as Amenhotep I, for succession. Her position as Queen Mother during his reign was immensely significant. She oversaw the stone quarries essential for construction and was regarded as the patron saint of workers. Embodying the role of a matriarch, she significantly influenced the selection of her son's successor, Yahmesu, also known as Yahmesu I. Numerous steles were erected in her honor, with detailed bas-reliefs carved to commemorate her, and the most exquisite offerings dedicated to her. Queens and princesses were named in tribute to her significant influence. Her cult thrived for close to a millennium, until the era of Greek dominion over Egypt. Such was the remarkable destiny of this woman, as black as the gods. She restored Ma'at, radically transformed women's status, co-established the most distinguished of all dynasties, and proficiently governed the realm of the pharaohs.